Alright, hooray, new cards. Um, can probably just hop through these. As you can see, I am a pay-to-win male whale, I think is the word. Although I suppose pay-to-win male fits as well. And, yeah, so I have all the premiums of these as well. Because, yeah. Let's just cruise through. Flash Fry. I guess this is their way of hedging back mandrakes and stuff, but it seems fine. I like that it gives it Voidbound. I feel like if you're spending 2 power, though, like, to deal with some of the different regen guys, it's not that great. There's some, like, more expensive regen guys that, you know, maybe you get some value off of this, but Flash Fry doesn't really kill any of them. I think there's this new bird that it kills. Yeah, Evolving Olziel. And I actually like this card, but I don't really think this is going to be a game changer. I don't know why 3 damage Voidbound would really matter. Maybe if this was like Obliterate. The fact that you can't hit a face with this is kind of a problem, and you can't hit a sight with it either. So I imagine everyone's just going to keep playing Seer and Torch and stuff, but if regen ever absolutely blows up again, then, you know, maybe some fries will be flashed. Mid-Chief Selous. This card's good. Good typing, Oni, Soldier. Although, I guess the Soldier doesn't really matter, but being an Oni is kind of sick. I like the ability. Quick Draw's nice. It's pretty well statted. Let's see. Inferno Den. I was making fun of this card when it was 6 power, but I think at 5 power it's fine. Theoretically, it's a 5 power. I was joking when it was a 6 power, basically a 6 power torch. Because probably you're just going to play this and conflagrate something. And then it's probably just going to blow up. But if it doesn't, then giving stuff charge is super sweet. Fire has a couple cards that like having charge, but most of them have charge already. I guess you're giving like Jack charge or something. I kind of like this card. I like that they made it 5 power. I said that already, but maybe this opens the door for some like big red or big fire decks. I could also see comboing this with time to get all those juicy like attack effects, like World Bearer Behemoth and stuff. And yeah, Inferno Dance is cool with it. You need to have a crap load of power for it to really matter. But I could definitely see... I mean, even the bottom level of this is, let's say you play your 6th power. You get... Actually, you just need a 5th power. So once you have Inferno Den, you can make 3 guys. So... that's kind of the floor of that card. But it can get out of hand. It's probably better than I gave it credit for at first glance. I really did enjoy my 6 power torch comment, but we'll move on. Impound. If people play this card, this will probably mean the end of World Pyre, but I don't think people are going to play it. I guess a Sentinel deck might like slap it in their market, but I don't see this like suddenly breaking the game, because like right now World Pyre is borderline tier 4 like meme garbage and Expedition, and Sentinels only exists in Expedition, so I don't really know why someone in Throne would want to be killing relics through Aegis, because I'm probably the only World Pyre player. So there's that. Logistics Expert. This is Land of War Elves number 2 basically with upside, so it's nice to be able to have a power sink later on in the game. One of the downsides of Initiate of the Sands is later on in the game it's a really crap draw. You just use it as market fodder. But if you've got 9 power, you can make a pretty realistic body, and 5 power is also reasonable, so that's pretty sweet. Roos Warbeast. I'm actually really excited about this card. I want to play it with Clockroach, but I'm sure there's a ton of other good ways to do it. Yeah. Either with Clockroach or any of the Echo guys. You can do it with the dragon or the dinosaurs. I know that's not their name, but you probably know what I mean, and that's fine. I do like Ruse Warbeast. It's cool that it actually is an anthem as well. It's a shame it's not a relevant type itself. Like, it would be pretty sick if you could play the Ruse Warbeast and then he would come into play and, like, buff himself. Like, that would be cool. But any time-based, like, all-in tribal deck will probably want this guy. If it's, like, more mid-rangey. Jetpack, I like the idea of this card. It's a lot of power to use it. But turning off spells is sick. I can see that kind of trolling control a little bit, but when you're playing against control, do you really want to be like giving stuff flying? Like, I almost feel like this is just a draft card for breaking open board stalls. Yeah, Delta, that's true, but I like my super grindy decks. It is true that it puts it anywhere in your deck, but there's ways to tutor it out of your deck if you really wanted to. And if you're just grinding super hard, we all know firebombs only shuffle into the top 10, so why wouldn't Ruse? So, Smite, another generic, very situational justice removal spell. I don't know why we have so many of these, but add Smite to... If we wanted to play bad 2-drop removal spell Tribal, I think we have enough support for it now. And that's kind of all I have to say about that. No, I don't want to look at the non-premium one. Fort Smasher. When he hits the enemy player, play a unit with cost 3 or less from the top 3 cards of your deck. Alright. This is discard synergy. It dies to Torch. It dies to Jack. Just worth mentioning. It's very fragile, but it seems they want like 3/3s to be the kind where attacking matters. If they were trying to balance this card, I'd say they'd give it Charge and Overwhelm, and make it so that whenever it hits the opponent, it shuffles firebombs into their deck. And also, if they gain life, it should just get massive. But other than that, I'm joking. I'm sorry. I just have some Milos trauma. Alright, Refraction. I really like this card. Primal was kind of lacking efficient ways to actually deal with stuff. After the Turn to Seed nerf, it's nice to have another like 3-cost spell. And one thing I like about this is whenever it plays the copy, you get all the end of the battlefield effects. I've already done some pretty disgusting things with this card. I had an opponent attacking with like... He had a minion that was like kill an attachment, and he had a weapon in the Scion draft, and I played this and copied the minion and blew up his weapon, and like blew up his minion as well. So you can do some really sick plays with it. Bracers of Subdual. At the start of your turn, sacrifice Bracers of Subdual to draw a card for each different health among your units. Huh. The end of your turn, play a beast. I think is all I really have got to say about this. Like, I guess this works with Okessa? It's cool that it makes a little chump blocker, but I don't imagine how big this is really going to get. Maybe we play Archmagus Prophecy in this card? I don't know. It's kind of sus, but I'm sure there's a meme out there for it. Maybe I'll play an Archmagus Prophecy deck again with this and die with it a few times. Alright, Evolving Olziel. I talked about him before. I'm actually really excited for this guy. Well, this Bird Beast. For one thing, Bird Beast is just kind of awesome typing. And for another, just because it's funny, I like the, we now have, like, a solid base of, like, big flyers that attack and have discard synergy. So, between this card and Scrap Find Skimmer, Scrap Fiend Skimmer, Scrap Found Skimmer, I'm sure I'm close. Between these two, we actually have a lot of, like, big flyers that come down. They can block once, and then they can start attacking. And, they're each triggering, like, some pretty solid discard effects, and can really enable stuff like Fell Rock and etc. I went into immense detail in a YouTube video about it, but yeah, I like this card. The Transform Summon effect is pretty sick as well. And you can always just block the 4-1 with it. The key thing to note here is Primal now has an actual viable way to deal with relics that isn't trash. That's not something they've had before. They've had Formbind, but that was so much worse. The fact that this is always a 4-1 is pretty good. I think this means that aside from Justice, actually, Justice has Tiana. So I think they've actually closed the Keller pie now. Like, every single faction at least has a somewhat viable way of dealing with relics. And I think this is just because they got sick of watching all my World Pyre decks. I'm joking, but only kind of. Anyway, this card's sick. I look forward to playing it, and I imagine it's going to be in everyone's market from now on, so look forward to that. Dark Purveyor. It's kind of a draft card. Very offensive typing, though. And if you were playing like a super budget, like Shrine to Carve It deck, I could see this doing some work, but I'm not really sure this is going to see like constructed play outside of budget decks. But it's nice to have some cool stuff, and I imagine it's fun to play in draft. If you can start making Grenamanders with it, maybe it's fine, but I wouldn't want my like token generator to be a 5/3, because this just dies to everything. You look at this thing and it dies. I guess it doesn't die to Blazing Salvo, so not everything, but it gets about as close as it can. When you take damage on your turn, deal 3 damage to the cursed player. I like the idea of these kinds of cards, but I don't like spending 4 power to do it. I imagine at 3 power it would be viable, and 2 power it would be broken. So maybe they went the safer approach and made it 4, but like, unless I'm missing something, I'm not seeing it. Yeah. I guess that's all I have to say about that one. When one of your units attacks, or one of your units with 2 or less attacks, deal 1 damage to the enemy player. Valkyrie Warp, Lifesteal. Alright. I don't know why they keep giving us Valkyrie Warp cards that aren't also Valkyries. I wonder if Hired Muscle deals the damage or if the Valkyrie does the damage, because that would actually be pretty sick if you like warped this into play and made a big attack and it was all lifesteal damage. I'd like that. That'd be cool. I doubt you're playing this though if you're not Valkyries. I suppose you could play it with Roland, but kind of medium. Volk the Auto Forge. I actually went over this card already in one of my YouTube videos, but I like it. I don't know if I like playing 3 factions in my Sentinel lists, but the card's pretty cool. Gives you a lot of fodder for sacrificing relics and stuff or clear the way. And just a solid beater. Play him on turn 3 and you're gonna get some damage in. Dickrow, Conqueror, Flying Charge. When he attacks, enemy units get shrunk. Yeah, this card is very slow and not that great, but the art's cool. I feel like for how badass his sword looks, he should do more damage. Why are they making all the like the really aggressive, like we've got a 5/3 that wants to live and a 3/5 that like wants to attack and deal damage. I guess it feels like the theme of this set is like play it safe. I feel like that's what they went for. Like everything just seems super safe, like super chill. Like I don't know. There's a few more cards to look at. Grand Iron Martyr. What this card does is make really, really cool memes. If you haven't seen the memes in the Discord and the Twitter, it's pretty funny. But yeah, I love the art. Just, well, Krusty Krab is unfair. Mr. Krabs is in there. All right, but still, I like this card. I'm a big fan of these, like, for one thing, this typing is great. Grenadine Cultist. I think this is the first Grenadine Cultist we've had. Maybe I missed one. But, yeah, I like this card. I like that it has Entomb, draw a card. I'm looking forward to casting Combust on it. And playing it in my Throne Shrine to Carve decks. That'll be sick. I imagine you're supposed to play it with Assign the Tesseract or Align the Tesseract. But I actually feel like it's better home when being a Shrine to Carve deck. But I feel that way about a lot of things, so that's just kind of who I am as a person. Alright, Hethos Reach Captain. Amplify 2, stun an enemy unit, or play a weapon, or draw a random sigil. I have a feeling 9 times out of 10 you're just going to play a crap load of weapons on this guy. If you're, like, on turn 3 and you really need to draw a sigil, I guess you're playing this, but, like, I don't know. I think it's cool. If you're playing this faction and you're playing soldiers and or bird tribal... Also, if you're playing bird tribal, you're automatically the coolest person on the louder. I'm just going to say that now. But if you're playing 3 faction soldiers, you'll probably play Hethos. I actually think just straight Horu soldiers is better. But, yeah. Urid, the Drifting Song. I went over this card already, but it's very expensive. But it's very badass. Basically what this says is attack and win the game most of the time. Like, this is just gonna... Like, your opponent's gonna be screwed. If you've got any sort of board and you're hitting with this, even if this is the only thing you have on the board, like, its bottom rate is a 9/8 with flying, endurance, quick draw, and +1 to attack. And it's going to keep getting bigger. Like, sure, none of your stuff is going to overwhelm over, but if they're not playing board wipes, like, they're never going to recover from this. And I think one of the funnier things you can do with this is you can use Speed Grafter and give it charge. And that's probably what I'll be doing with it. And then that has the added bonus of all of the copies that will have charge, flying, endurance, and quick draw and +1 already will get shuffled into your deck. And you'll just keep drawing more. Like, 9 copies? That is a lot of copies. By the time you get to 8 power, like, even if you ramped, but let's say you didn't ramp, like, you start the game with, like, 7 cards or so, and then you draw 8, and you have a 75-card deck. So quick maths here, you've got 60 cards in your deck, and you shuffle 9 copies in, That means every other, like every 10 turns, you're going to be drawing a Urid that just has flying, endurance, and quick draw. And by Firebomb standards, it means that every turn you're going to draw a Urid. So just keep that in mind at any given time, that whenever Eternal has cards that shuffle into the deck, it always shuffles into the top 10 cards of your deck. So that's not facts, that's just how it works whenever I play with the card. Alright, gain an influence in a faction you don't have. Depleted unless you already have 5 influence. If you do, gain an influence of your choice. I don't like it. I don't like these situational ones that only ever give you 1 influence. I would rather just play like a Crest or a Dual Land. But maybe this enables some wonky, crazy deck, but yeah, I'd rather have 2 influence. Maybe that's my bias as a World Pyre player kicking in. But if it only gives 1 influence, I'm not into it. Might of the Bastion. If you have a Grenadine, deal 3 damage. If you have a Mandrake, draw a card. If you have a Sentinel, play a random card from your deck. If you have a Soldier, your units get +1/+1. If you have a Valkyrie, gain 5 armor. If you have a Milos, uninstall the game. If you have a Jack, delete System 32. And if you have Clockroaches, you automatically win the game. So I like this card. So far, it encourages you to do some crazy stuff. I imagine this is probably more of a draft card, honestly, but it would be really cool to pull off all 5. If anyone remembers, there was an event before the last set came out, and that event encouraged you to play like 1 of each unit type, and this card would have fit so well into those decks. Yeah, it looks neat. One cool thing is you could market it with a grafter market, and just always have it. If I had to rate which ones are the best, I imagine you'd probably just ignore Sentinel and ignore Valkyrie and focus on Soldier, Mandrake, and Grenadine. And that'd be pretty solid. Honestly, even just Soldier Grenadine is a good rate. Like, just deal 3 damage to something and Anthem the board. Maybe that's not so good. I don't know. If you can get at least 2 effects out of this, I bet it's fine. Because as long as one of those effects is dealing 3 damage, like, you can't really go wrong with this. But... and that's everything. My favorite cards are Evolving Ulzul, Urid, and probably Refraction. And I think Roos will be fun as well. But yeah, exciting stuff.